Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamudhara Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satkurum Brahma Vidwaram Satkurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranas Chakshushrotраmatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakkaranam me astu tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha te mayi santu om shanti shanti shanti. Now when you chant Shanti mantra, does some meaning come to your mind? What are we chanting each word? That increases the bhava of chanting. If not, then we'll recap after the class in the satsang. Na tatra chakshur gacchati na va gacchati no manaha na vidmaha na vijanimaha yathaitadanushishyaat anyadeva tadvidita datho avidita dadhi iti shushruma purvesham yenastadvyacha chakshire. So we were seeing the third mantra where this portion was elaborated. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na va gacchati, no manaha, na vidmaha. So all pramanas which are known to us other than Shabda Pramana, Upanishad Pramana, it was said none of that can reveal Brahma. Na vidmaha, na vijanimaha. Teacher said we don't know it as an object, nor do we know it to indicate it to somebody in that way. Yathaitadanushishyaat. How to teach this without using this method of adhyaropa and apavada in superimposition and negation. Like how Anya Deva Tadviditat was given, right? It is just removing those things which we have included in aham. Other than that, there is no method to teach. Okay, that is what was until this point. In the last session, we saw Anya Deva Tadviditat Atho Aviditat Adhi. So if we reflect on that portion of Bhashya, our Nididhyasanam will get lot of strength. What is Vidita and what is Avidita? Avidita, we don't have to worry too much. We never got attached to Maya Shakti, or neither did we think about Maya in that way. Vidita is what gives, most of the problems. So if I understand what is Vidita, then what is my inquiry? I am different from Vidita. So that is why elaborate description was there about that. Okay, so we saw, the Tattva Bodha description. What is Vidita? Entire manifest world after Maya Shakti, whatever comes, all of that falls under Vidita. This gross creation that we see, mind, anything which is known through act of knowing. Vidik kriyaya yajnatam tat viditam. I know this as an object through the act of knowing. Whatever I know, all of that falls under vidita. And what is the other part? We say avidita, which is Maya. So anyadeva tad viditat atho aviditat adhi. Next portion was, what is the deeper meaning of this statement? Right? That is where we saw the example of hand, some dirt on it we should remove. We can take something from outside. So Bhagavan said, this statement has come to show that Atma need not be taken from anywhere, nor do you need to remove anything from Atma. You cannot let go of Atma also. Aheyam it is, and it is anupadeyam. You cannot, or you need not take it from anywhere. Meaning this is to remove the notion that Brahma or that substratum of creation is something different from me. Right? Mahavakya, it is said, does two things. One is it removes the notion of finitude from I. Because when I think of I, what comes is a finite I. My name comes, my title comes. No matter how big the title is, it is still finite. Including Brahmaji. Those titles are also included. All are finite. So there it is said, one part of Mahavakya is to remove that finitude. Another part of Mahavakya is to remove this notion that substratum of creation is different from me. Tatpada, when we do vichara, how is it pointed out? This entire creation came out from that Sat, from that truth, whatever you want to call it. And the sadhaka gets this understanding that there is one truth which is there somewhere, possible that creation came out from it. But I am not that truth. So inquiry into Mahavakya should remove both these notions. Those of you who have studied Vakya Vritti, this idea is from there. Parichinnatva in Aham and Abrahmatva. Okay. Parokshatva and Parichinnatva, both things are removed. Parichinna means I am finite. Paroksha means that reality is different from me. Both these things should be removed through Mahavakya. So this was the point where we left last time. No? That which is different from known and unknown cannot be different from me. Means if you inquire into Mahavakya, Anya Deva Tad Viditat, Atho Aviditat Adhi, this is where I should reach. Now, as I had mentioned, there are two Bhashyas, right? One is Pada Bhashya, another is Vakya Bhashya. Pada Bhashya means every word Bhagavan has commented. Vakya Bhashya means he has taken the gist of it. And he says, don't miss this idea. While you are paying attention to one word, it happens, right? When you are too much into details, you miss the main overarching idea. Those points he has picked up in Vakya Bhashya. But we will not have time to study both. I will just bring whatever important points are mentioned. There is a question asked by a student. He says, if Atman is self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasha it is, then why are we ignorant in the first place? Right? That Swayam Prakasha Atma should have come and removed this ignorance because it is self-shining. Then Bhagavan says, they can coexist. Avidya and Brahma, they can very well coexist. Why? Because one is real, another is unreal. Brahma, which is self-effulgent, is real. And the other one, ignorance, it is unreal. In fact, ignorance also is illumined by Brahma only. I don't know something, that not knowing also is illumined by Brahma. So it can very well coexist. Then will it always coexist? He says no. Knowledge of Brahma or knowledge of Atma and ignorance cannot coexist. Knowledge, Brahma and ignorance can coexist. Knowledge of Atma in this way, whatever we have been studying, Anya Deva Tadviditat, Ato Aviditat Adhi. So knowing Atma in that way and ignorance that I don't know Atma, what is the nature of Atma, whether I am Atma or not. He says those two things cannot coexist. Tamap Prakashavadhyaya, light and darkness cannot coexist. Right? So in the same intellect, I cannot say there is ignorance of something and knowledge of that thing. Okay, so this point, an example is given of our famous snake and rope. Say, while we were seeing the illusory snake on that rope, because one is real, another is unreal, they can coexist. Right? The rope is real, illusory snake is unreal, they can coexist. But knowledge of snake, that it is mithya, and knowledge of rope, they cannot coexist. Or ignorance of snake, like thinking that snake to be real, and knowledge of substratum rope. He says both those things cannot coexist. Does this make sense, what we are trying to discuss here? Real rope and unreal snake can coexist. But knowledge of rope and mistaken snake, those two things cannot coexist. Like I say, I see that rope as it is, but I still have a doubt whether there is snake on it or not. He says, no, that cannot happen. If you have known Atma, then ignorance will be removed. Actually, ignorance getting removed, we were never interested to begin with. What we should put there is our sorrows will get removed. Adhyasa, if it is gone, he says adhyasa is the main source of all limitations which I take upon aham. That will get removed with this Mahavakya. Any Prakarana Grantha you study, this is the same method. Student comes with Durvara, Samsara, Davagni, Taptam and everything. Vivek Chudamani, he says. But he studied everything, whatever duration he was there, and teacher asked, now you say, what is your opinion? If he still repeats that shloka, Durvara, Samsara, Davagni, Taptam, imagine, how the teacher will feel. So we start with that state that I am this aham, put forth more effort as a sadhaka to reach that point of nirupadik aham. Because this point is about aham, it becomes even more important. If something is there which is unconditioned, that is okay. But Upanishad is saying, I am unconditioned. That is where it hits more hard, it becomes more relevant. Okay. Second, the student asks, if Atman is self-effulgent, why does it not become known just like that? Why do I need Guru? Why do I need Shastra to know that Atman which is self-effulgent? Right? Only if something is unknown, I would need some direction. I would need to go there and find it. This is why can't it just get known by itself if it is self-effulgent? So then the teacher says, Atman is not completely unknown, nor is it thoroughly known in the way that it should be known. What is happening right now is it is erroneously known. Erroneous meaning mixed up with this mind, mixed up with this body. This is Mahavakya will come and remove those erroneous notions. That is why you need Shastra. And Guru will make sure that you don't get stuck in any conditioning. Because the tricky part here is the one doing the inquiry is ahamkara. Okay? The finite aham itself is doing the inquiry and it is trying to negate itself. So there is a very high possibility that this ahankara will do selective shravanam. Meaning what? It listens everything, but it keeps only that which it likes. Other part, when it is said, mind is mithya, body is not you, this is no, that I don't want to listen. So instruction will come in such a way, because Guru doesn't have anything that he expects from the teacher, from the student. Right? He says, I want to make sure that you abide in your nirupadik aham. So for that, whatever has to be done, that will be done. In terms of questioning that ahankara, whatever is the method of teaching, he says that will be done. And you've seen so many texts like Bhaja Govindam, how compassionate Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is. You cannot say that in general public. Nahi nahi rakshati dukrun karane, moodha, and so many things he says, right? He says that is all because to shift this identity from transactional aham to absolute aham. Okay, not to get stuck in any conditioning. That is where is the need of a teacher and Shastra. Example given is of the 10th man. Right? You all know the story. Every time I will not repeat that story. But you see, it's a very, very deep example. So many parallels are there. We should keep reflecting on all of them. The 10th man, who they think is drowned, he says that 10th man is not unknown. Okay, because he is the one who is shouting, right? That 10th man is drowned, 10th man is drowned. He is not completely unknown. Neither he is completely known. If they knew the 10th man, no sorrow. They would not feel that, he has gone somewhere and drowned or anything. But what is happening there is, 10th man is erroneously known. Okay, so he said with aham also, same thing. The person who is speaking, person who is doing this inquiry, is this aham only, but erroneously known as finite. Okay, so removing finitude from aham is the part of Mahavakya and Shastra. All right. Evam, this is 47th page number, those who have Gita Press book. Evam sarvatmanah sarva vishesha rahitasya chinmatra jyotishah brahmatva pratipadakasya vakyarthasya acharyopadesha paramparaya praptatvam aha iti shushrumetyadi brahmacha evam acharya upadesha paramparaya eva adigantavyam na tarkatah pravachana medha bahushruta tapo yajnadibhischa yajnadibhyascha. So the first part, which is in the white color, is means by which this teaching is available. Which teaching? Evam sarvatmanah sarva vishesha rahitasya. That Atma which is devoid of all vishesha. Vishesha means conditionings, attributes, what we meditated upon today. Aham devoid of all conditionings. Chinmatra jyotishah, that which is self-effulgent. Aham aham taya spurati. Think about it. Whenever we have thought about aham, it was never inert. Even while we were ignorant, thinking about aham, he says aham can never be inert. So it is Chinmatra Jyotishaha Brahmatva Pratipadakasya. This knowledge that this same Aham is infinite. Brahmatva Pratipadakasya, of that knowledge, Vakyarthasya. Mahavakya Arthasya. Vakya means Mahavakya. Vakyarthasya Acharya Upadesha Paramparaya Praptatvam Aha Iti Shushruma. There was one portion, right? Iti Shushruma Purvesham Yenastad Vyachachakshire. So Bhagavan is saying this portion has come to highlight that this knowledge is gained only through Shastra and Guru. You would have noticed, at least I have noticed for myself, Pathanam is very different from Shravanam. Right? You can do Pathanam after Shravanam, you will understand. Any topic for that matter. Even now, when I try to study some other text, right? Like when we are doing Pramana Vichara, Tarka Sangraha, because Anumana Pramana was there. So many pointers are there that it is not easy to just read and understand. First Shravanam, you listen, and then you do more reflection on it. Vedanta is also the same. Right? Brahmacha evam acharya upadesha paramparaya eva adhigantavyam. Brahmacha, Brahma also is attained in this way only. Don't have any other idea. This is a time-tested path. Appreciate the teaching and own up the teaching. Now, what are the things by which this teaching is not available? Na tarkataha. If I use pure logic and say only on the strength of logic, I will try to know Brahma. You see the danger there? Even if entire creation is negated as mithya, this ahankara will feel, I have convinced somebody on the strength of logic. Ahankara will remain. Right? And there are so many other shortcomings also. That is why Bhagavan said, Shrutimataha tarkonu sandhiyatam. If you read Sadhana Panchakam, right, the third verse is very precise teaching on what I should do after hearing Mahavakya. After hearing Mahavakya, Bhagavan says, don't get into any dustarka. Don't use tarka in such a way that it proves otherwise, that I am not Brahma. Even if somebody proves, you quietly listen to that, but don't get involved in that discussion. Use lot of logic to establish how I am Brahma. Why? Because Upanishad is Pramana. Tarka is not Pramana. Pramana means valid means of knowledge. Pravachana doesn't spare anybody. Give lot of pravachan. Take class after class. No guarantee. Why? Is your attention there or not? Goswamiji in Ram Valmiki Samvada, he gives 14 places where Bhagwan should come and stay. And in those 14 places, he includes everybody. Means he will say, for Grahastha Ashrama, who are the sadhakas in whose heart you should come and stay. For Kshatriya, in what way should they do so that you come and stay. One part is of those who give pravachan. He says, Bhagwan, you come and stay in their heart who have you as the goal. Not the audience, not the individual, but that topic which is Bhagavan. Brahma Bhagavan is the same. Don't distinguish between both of that. He says if Brahma is the goal in Vedanta, any charcha for that matter, even study group, with whoever we are discussing, our goal should be that I want more clarity about this topic, not to convince the other person. And you'll realize many points come out of these discussions if we quietly listen. Right? Whatever we can appreciate, that we take, but not making that as, any other thing. Prestige issue, that is what I meant. Pravachana, medha, memorizing so many things, Bahushruta means doing lot of Shravanam. Pravachana is first part. If I constantly keep listening to several lectures, there's no guarantee. Why? Point is whether I have chosen that as my goal or not. Right? And tapo yajnadibi, I do lot of tapasya, do lot of yajna, still there is no guarantee. If you notice, during sadhana time, all these things were pointed out as sadhanas. Right? It was said one should not only listen, do mananam and give pravachan also. Then it was said, remember shlokas, right? So that you can cross-reference and quote and everything. Bahushruta, do lot of shravanam. Dinke shravana samudra samana, it was said. Tapasya, Bhagwan pointed out so many other tapasyas. Yajna also was indicated. Bhagwan said, don't give it up. But what is Bhagwan trying to say here then? Shankaracharya ji, when he says, na tarkataha, pravachana, medha, everything. All of that should be geared towards Atmanishtha. Right? Then it will become sequential progression into my Atmanishtha. Knowledge will not come through any action. So if you notice all of them are some kind of kriya. Pravachana also is a kriya. Yajna, tapa, everything is a kriya. Jnanam can never come through any kriya. Any jnanam for that matter. It will come only through pramana. And this jnanam is even more special because it is already attained. So pramana also will not reveal something new. It will only remove those things which are erroneously included. Okay? So iti evam shushruma shrutavantaha vayam purvesham. So Upanishad Rishi is saying, this is what we have heard from our acharyas. Purvesham acharyanam vachanam. Anyadeva tad viditat atho aviditat adi. This statement. And the previous part also. It cannot be attained by, it cannot be seen through eyes, ears and everything. You know why he's saying this? Because when we start on this path of Vedanta, the student invariably feels he can convince the teacher otherwise. Oh, you don't think that way. I think, it is this way. The teacher says, whether you get convinced or not is up to you. My conviction is here. If you want, you can have your conviction in the same lines. This you will find in all teachings. Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses. Bhagavan says, Yatha ichha, yathechasi tatha kuru. I am not insisting that you should think about it in this way. These are the facts. This is how it is logically explained. To show that conviction, this statement has come. Iti shushruma purvesham. Ye acharyaha naha asmabhyam tat brahma vyachachakshire. Those acharyas, they have taught us this. Don't think that it is not possible to know Brahma. That is why Vyakhyatavantaha, Vispashtam Kaditavantaha. Very clearly, this teaching has been taught to us. Tesham ityartaha. Okay, so now main teaching of Kenopanishad is over. But there is one student. Teacher feels that he has a question mark on his face. And he slowly raises his hand. Okay, he says, teacher, I have a very important doubt. It has been bothering me for a long time. He said, what is your doubt? Student says, I am okay with understanding that whatever I am worshipping, that is Brahma. Because the student is a devotee. Or you can say he is from Purva Mimamsa. Vedas are divided into two parts, right? Purva Mimamsa, which is more ritualistic, and Uttara Mimamsa, which is Vedanta. So this student is from the previous group. So he says, whatever I am worshipping, whichever is my upasya, I am okay with understanding that is Brahma. But I have a very hard time in understanding that the worshipper, I am also Brahma. That is his question. Okay, what does he say? I am okay with understanding Upasya is Brahma. Brahma means you should understand, all indicators of Brahma are possible for Upasya. Means he says, Brahma is that, my Upasya is that which is Sat Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa. It is Asanga. Whatever indicators you know of Brahma, he says, I am okay with putting everything onto my Upasya. But don't tell me that I am also having the same lakshanas. This is his question. You see how nicely Bhagwan introduces. This is the greatness of Bhashya. Otherwise, next mantra, we would have no clue why it has come. Okay, now he is introducing this. Anyadeva tadviditad atho aviditad adhi iti anena vakyena Atma brahmeti pratipadite shrotuhu ashanka jata katham nu atma brahma atma hi nama adhikrutah karmani upasane cha samsari karmopasanam va sadhanam manusthaya brahmadi devan swargam va praptumicchati tattasmad anya upasyah vishnuhu ishvara indrah prano va brahma bhavitum arhati natu atma loka pratyaya virodhat. Okay, now you see what he is saying. Teacher, I heard what you said. Anya devatad viditat atho aviditat adhi. Iti anena vakyena atma brahma iti pratipadite. When I thought about it, you said that this is a Mahavakya. It is to say that this Atma alone is Brahma. Atma alone is infinite. When this conclusion was derived, student got a doubt. Shrotuhu ashanka jata. Katham nu Atma Brahma? How come this Atma is Brahma? Does this look like Sanskrit? Just like Hindi, right? You can, every word you are understanding. I'm not literally translating either. Atma hi nama adhikrita. Now, teacher asks, okay, you tell me, what is your understanding of Atma? What is your understanding of Aham? He says, this is my understanding. Atma hi nama adhikrita means the one who is enjoined. Into what? Into doing some kind of karma and some kind of upasana. Samsari. This is what I feel about myself when I think about Aham. Although I am doing some kind of karma upasana, but I still feel I am samsari. Karmopasanam va sadhanam anushtaya brahmadi devan swargam va praptum ichchati. By doing this karma and upasana, I strive to have better destinations, better circumstances in and around in this world and also hereafter. He says that is what is my understanding of Aham. How can this Aham, which is having all these things, titles, be that unconditioned Brahma? Tat tasmat anya upasya. I am okay with half part. You say that upasya is Brahma. Vishnuhu Ishvara Indraha Pranaho va Brahma Bhavitum Arhati. They can be Brahma, but not I. Natu Atma. Atma is not Brahma. Teacher said, how did you arrive at this conclusion? It's a loka pratyaya virodhat. Because you asked in the world, who am I? Am I this person or am I Brahma? what will they say? Who do you think I am? First, they will say, I don't think you are all right. Why are you even asking this question? He says, no, loka pratyaya, majority is not pramana. If, majority people say something doesn't mean the truth will be what majority says. Even in scientific history, we have seen that, right? Who was that person who said Earth is round? Galileo, right? Majority said it is flat. He said, even if majority say, truth cannot be what everybody agrees to. Or in other words, he says, loka pratyaya is not pramana. Right? So go to the right pramana, don't go by what people say. But student is feeling that way. Loka pratyaya virodhat, he says. So the main connection over here is, I feel I am doer of actions, I am enjoyer of results of these actions. And having done those actions, I want to go to better destinations. How can this constantly modifying finite individual be Brahma? Okay. This I will just read. Yatha anye tarkikaha ishwarad anyaha atma iti achakshate. Means other darshanas. This looks like a very innocent question from a student, but Bhagwan is saying this is not one student asking a question. These are different school of thoughts. And all dualistic school of thoughts are included in this. Okay. He says, what do they say? They say you are different and Brahma is different. Jiva is different, Ishvara is different. And with that difference, so many other things are pointed out. Amum yaja, karminaha, they say, do this devata worship, you will get a particular result. If all of that is true, then how can you say that this Atma is Brahma? Tasmat yuktam yad viditam upasyam. So whatever you said is true, but only in half part. Tasmat yuktam yad viditam upasyam tad Brahma bhavet. Whatever is anya devatad viditat, everything whatever you said, for upasya I am able to put that thing. Tatha anyaha upasaka iti. But upasaka who is there is different from that. Tam etam ashankam shishya lingena upalaksha tad vakyat va aha ma evam shankishtaha. Now anticipating this question or this doubt from the student, next mantra has come, which is addressing this point. Okay. Yadvacha anabhyuditam yena vagabhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. First we will just see literal meaning of the mantra. Same idea, but more depth will come in this part now. Yad vacha anabhyuditam. Brahman is that which cannot be illumined by speech. You pay attention to the word anabhyuditam. You see the beauty of Sanskritam. Ut means to raise. Utthana, you know, right? Ut means to raise. Abhi upasarga. Abhyuditam means when you add that, abhi upasarga. Speech is that which is raising object from a group of things. Abhyuditam means that. Ut dhatu is there. Means if you say a word, right? Sun. Means out of so many things, what this word has done, it has gone and brought that object out for you. You say moon. So many words might be there. It has gone and lifted that object up for you. In that way, it cannot lift Brahma as an object. Yad vacha anabhyuditam. It will not indicate in that way. Yena vag abhyudyate. But it is that because of whom speech gets illumined. Yena, by that Brahma alone, speech gets illumined. Tadeva Brahma, that alone is Brahma. This you understand. Tvam Vidhi. Or you can include it together and say, Tadeva Brahmatvam. That Brahman you are. Iti Vidhi. Both ways you can understand. Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi. Na idam yadidam upasate. Again, to emphasize, it is said, it is not this thing which you are doing upasana of. Now, this is a very important and a subtle topic which has to be understood in the right perspective. If you understand very good, don't understand very good, misunderstanding is a problem. Okay, so we'll spend some time on that. So now different indicators are given. Yad vacha anabhyuditam, yad manasana manute. All those things will come. Meaning these indicators, these supports were used for upasana for the same sadhaka. Right? It was said, speech you can use for upasana, mind you can use for upasana, ears you can use for upasana. But now the teacher is wanting to say, what you are meditating upon as conditioned consciousness, let go of the conditioning. Okay, that is the main theme over here. But before we go there, let us spend some time on the word upasana. Okay. Upasana, literally, if you take, sitting close. Upa-asanam, right? Sitting close to some altar. If it is told to us that the truth is unconditioned, without attributes, doesn't have anything that it can be indicated by, what will come to our mind? Imagine somebody has come on the first day and you directly say that because it is the truth, I will tell as it is. Nothing comes to our mind, we will not be able to appreciate that truth. So one of the best method of tuning our mind to make it capable for holding this truth, that method is called as upasana. Sometimes what happens, whatever you give as an intermediate solution, right, that again becomes an obstacle. But upasana is so beautiful, it will blossom into the next stage. Okay, what is the main thing of upasana? Some support is taken from this creation, vidita prapancha only. Some support is taken, and it is said, in this support, you create Brahma Buddhi. Initially, if I am not able to appreciate I am Brahma, so it is said, you take a support, and in that you meditate upon, this is Brahma. You say, that is easy. It is easier, not very easy also. Huh? You want to bring our mind to a particular thing. But after you bring your mind there, don't think about anything else. Okay, so while we do that upasana, the main thing is there should be samana pratyaya. Same thought that this is Brahma, this is Brahma, this is what is Brahma. And if you have love towards that support, mind effortlessly gets drawn towards it. Okay. So upasana means, Puja Guruji's line this is, superimposing extraordinary in ordinary. Means you take an ordinary support, but you superimpose knowingly an extraordinary idea on top of it. Samanya vastuni utkrushta buddhi. Okay, and this is very popularly known even otherwise. What example we give for Balvihar students, right? Flag is not nation, but you can invoke the nation in the flag. Okay. So Upanishads or Shastra, they themselves have certain conditionings where you can invoke Brahma. So one conditioning would be Shivalinga. Okay, they said in the Shivalinga, you invoke that absolute consciousness, which is all pervading. Or Shaligrama. These are two popular ones. Yatha Shaligrame Vishnu Buddhi. It's a stone which is available in Gandaki Nadi. Right? Shaligrama is a stone. But in that stone, you can invoke all pervading Bhagwan, Vishnu. And I can do my Upasana just on that stone. But love should be there towards that idol, towards that altar. And continuously I should be able to absorb my mind in that support. Now what happens is, whenever we see the phrase, right, Nedam Yadidam Upasate, right? Sometimes students wonder what is being tried to said here. So we should be very careful. It is only saying that recognize the truth as unconditioned. The limited conditioning which was there was brought in for a purpose. Don't just remain at the conditioned level. If you remove it completely, you are removing Chaitanya also. Right? When we do Upasana, it is Chaitanya plus conditioning. Now it is said, Nedam Yadidam Upasate. So you should negate only the conditioning, not the consciousness part. Okay? And another thing is, one should never ever criticize Saguna Upasana. I mean, we will never criticize, but still if we hear in that way, we should know the perspectives. Because for a sadhaka, to become sadhaka, grace is of Bhagwan only. Right? For a sadhaka to know Nirguna Brahma, he says grace is Bhagwan's. To make sure that all circumstances that come are conducive for our sadhana. That is Bhagwan's grace. But Bhagwan himself says, I don't want you to know in only my conditioned form. Right? He says, I don't like my devotees being ignorant about my true nature. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan gets angry. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes, Akroshati iti Bhagwan. He gets angry because you have come so far. Why don't you go to the next step and know me as your own true self? And there we will realize the obstacle is not devotion. Obstacle is our ahankara. Right? Obstacle to know Bhagwan as our own true self is very easy for a devotee. This was the final journey of all devotees. Gopis got Tattva Jnanam. Bhagwan said, I want you to know me as Drashta. And as all pervading, not only the one who is in Vrindavan, not only the one who is in Gokul, I am this all pervading creation with my conditioning. So whatever is recognized as idam will fall under vidita category. Right? Idam means the conditioning will fall under vidita. This is recognize that upasya as unconditioned. Another example, if you want, is in Bhagavatam. This is the story of Kapil Bhagwan and Kardam Rishi. You know that story of Kapil Bhagwan, Devahuti ji. Kapil Bhagwan is born. Kardam Rishi, he puts a condition in the very beginning. He says, whenever I will have darshan of Kapil Bhagwan, or the first child, he says, I will go to the forest. And Kapil Bhagwan is right there in front. And Kardam Rishi, he does pranams to him and says, now I'm going to discover you. Or now I'm going in your quest. Bhagwan would have asked, I am right here. Which quest are you going on? He says, I want to know you as Anya Devatad Viditat Atho Aviditat Adhi. Knowing you as my own true self, he says, for that I need all other type of sadhanas. Okay, so with this understanding, we will look at the next portion of this teaching now. I don't think we'll be able to start that, but I'll introduce that portion. So whenever superimposition is done, right? What was said? Like in this conditioning, you see Brahma. So very thorough evaluation is done even of that conditioning. So much of detail is given, will be thrilled if you pay attention to it. So here the substratum is speech, vacha, vacham. So first Bhagwan describes what is speech. Okay, it is mind-boggling description. And then he will say Brahman is that which is unattained by speech. This point we had seen in our Sanskritam class. Okay, but we will see it next time. If somebody asks us, right, you talk about speech. I will say I can talk for a long time, but I cannot talk on speech. How much will you describe it? What is speech? What I say is speech. He says no. He gives 6-7 indicators just to define speech. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Good to see all of you in person. I know you have come for the meditation, satsang, and also the satsang after. Okay. So online also, we encourage all of you. Whoever can come in person, please to come and benefit. You can ask in-person attendees. It is indeed a very different experience. Hari Om, everyone. Hari Om.